have back the experience from last year, but nothing changes. I think obviously defense is based on execution. I think we've got to do a better job up front, and at the second level at backer of stopping the run. A lot of that, right, from a misdirection standpoint of getting those fits clean. And then the one importance, obviously, we're putting on tackling, and I think now, the way camp is structured, right, to where there's a certain amount of helmet days, then shell days, right, and they kind of limited full pad contact. We got to do a great job when we're just in shorts of working the approach phase of the tackle and really defining this and putting these kids in those situations. Because, when you look back at last year, and you didn't play well, whether it's giving up yards, giving up points, it always comes back to two things. It's from a communication standpoint, all 11 guys are on the same page, so we make a mental error. So nothing that they did, everything that we didn't do, right? So, again, giving up explosive plays, which we had too many, way too many last year. And then the next one's a missed tackle. So obviously the scheme was designed to stop it. You put the kid in a situation, right? We didn't finish the play. So, those are the two things, obviously, that we're really working on this fall camp. We've got plenty enough talent. I think this will be the most depth, that we've had. We got to continue to develop that. But that daily focus and that mindset of proper preparation prevents poor performance. And, I'm going to get out what I put in. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, because coming off of last year, the kids did a great job. I thought they got better, but it's over. We got to move on. We got enough talent, but we got to put the work in. That's one thing about this place to me and Coach Saban. You look at all those great teams, right? Yes, they've got talent, but that ingredient every year is hard work. We're going to outwork everybody else. And whether that's from the player standpoint and the preparation aspect of studying the playbook, watching the tape, right? Practicing my butt off, staying after, right, to work on a certain technique, right? So, again, I think, it's no different this year than it's been any year, right? Yeah, you got talent on your roster. We got to develop the roster, right? We got to do a great job from a preparation standpoint, right? So we know what to do. Where do I line up? What's my run responsibility? What's my pass responsibility? What's my primary key? What's my secondary key, right? Eliminate the middle errors. We got to eliminate some of the pre-snap penalties, all right, that are putting guys ahead of the sticks. I think that's been one emphasis for us in the spring. Obviously, and it's going to be in fall camp is third down. And I think the big piece on that is you got to play well on first or second down. So again, we got to get them in obvious passing situations to where we know what they're going to do, so we can dictate a protection, or we could take away, a dominant receiver based on a coverage because you put them in that situation. When you're living in the 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 life, everything's open, and I think it's tough to defend. So we got to do a better job on first and second down from a run standpoint, right? We got to eliminate the mental errors. That's year in and year out, and we got to do a better job tackling. But I love where our kids are at right now. I think they're working their butt off. I think they've stacked spring, summer, now fall camp. I think it's nice to have some guys that have been in the scheme. That's a big piece of it. But more importantly, like, they know the expectations of this place. They know what it is to play for an Alabama defense, right? It has nothing to do about being best in the conference. We're trying to be the best in the country, and we're not looking at that long term. We're looking at that on a day-to-day basis is what do I have to do today to be the best player I can be today, right? And then tomorrow, all right, let's stack that. All right, what do we need to improve on is self-assess, right, both from a coaching standpoint and a player standpoint of how can I improve. Right. All right. Here's the issues. Right. This is how we fix it. Here's the drill to do it. Right. Are you willing to do what it takes? So I think that's the big piece. I'm excited about the guys that we got coming back. I think from a leadership standpoint, we got a lot of guys stepping up and showing people how to do it. Right. I think that's the big difference to me in this group. Right. And I think they learned that from last year. Right. You can do this all you want. Right. Show me, don't tell me. Right. So I think we got some guys that are going about it the right way. Right. Preparing off the field the right way. Right. Taking care of their bodies off the field. So I think we're in a pretty good spot. And obviously, we've kind of gone back to that COVID protocol. And that was kind of one thing I told our guys the other day in a defensive meeting. When I put that mask back on in this building, it reminded me of last year. It took me back, right? Not from a championship standpoint, but just how our kids edited their life, right, for that personal bubble and all the things that they gave up. Right. At night, the going out piece, right? The families coming in, right? Worrying about the tickets, all that other stuff. And it allowed them to do what? Focus on them doing their job. Right. And they gave all that up. Why? For one reason, right? To have the ability to compete for a championship. and look what happened. So that reminded me of that. And I think I want to kind of bring our players back to that. What were you willing to give up to last year in order to get what you want? And we had a lot of selfless guys, and we had good leadership on both sides of the ball, right, that were doing it the right way, that they brought a lot of young guys with them. And so that's something that we got to get back to. Obviously, from a coaching standpoint, you got to confront that. You got to demand that. So, again, talent won't be the issue, right? We got to clean up from a mental area standpoint. Obviously, got to do a better job in a tackling situation. And then from a third down aspect, we got to get our butt off the field. But I do like the work ethic right now. I think we're in a good spot. I think our young guys are the right type of guys. I do think they love ball. I think they work hard. So, again, we're just trying to bring them along mentally, right, so they can understand what to do, so then their athletic ability can take over, right, and they can play fast.
Okay, we'll get to some questions now. We'll start with Aaron Settles. Go ahead, Aaron.
As good as Will Anderson was last year, where do you see the next step in his development? What are you looking for from him this year?
Yeah, I think it's consistency, right? So again, every snap. So, to me, Will flashed a lot last year, right, and made a lot of negative yardage plays because he's an extremely good pass rusher, right? But there's some things in the run game, right, that we're still cleaning up. Very heavy-handed, can strike. Coach Sal does a really good job of them. But I think the big thing when you got a really good player, right, on base downs, you still got to play within the scheme, right? I've got a gap responsibility. I've got a job to do, right? And then, all right, now let's stop the run and have some fun, and let's get on third down and let's isolate you, right? Our best pass rusher on their worst protector. Hey, let's go win that one-on-one. So I think it's consistency, right, from an every down basis. I think obviously when you have a young player like that that's really talented, right, he's so focused on, hey, what's my alignment and what's my assignment, to where from a pre-snap scan, right, the anticipation of what's coming, right? Look at the demeanor of the tackle. Hey, is this going to be run or pass? Right. Hey, here's the backfield set, right? It's going to be a run. What run are you getting? Who's blocking me? How am I going to defeat the block, right? The stimulus and the response. All right, now here's the demeanor. It's pass. All right, man, let's tee this thing up. He can't block you, right? Here's my number one move. Here's my counter, right? Go win. So I think the big piece of it, consistency, and then the anticipation piece, right, from a film study aspect, because now I know where to line up. I know what to do. So now let's teach offense. Right? What are they doing? What's their demeanor? Right? What's the backfield set? What am I going to get to allow himself to be able to make some more plays?
Okay, we'll go to Cecil Hurt. Cecil, go ahead.
Coach, welcome back. And I kind of have to ask, what have you seen in the spring and in the two practices, obviously, from Koolaid Mckinstry?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Koolaid is a very talented kid, and I think we kind of talked about this last year. Coach does a really good job from an evaluation piece, right, and determining the critical factors to be successful to play corner. So he's got the length that we want, right? He's got the short area quickness. He can run. He's got top end speed. Obviously, he's played offense, returns punch, so he's got the ball skills, right? The one thing that I was most impressed about, right, and from Koolaid in the spring was the ability to come up and put his face on you. So again, a lot of times those type of kids, especially that position, sometimes are hesitant, right, to come put their face on you. And based on the coverage principle that we're playing, a lot of those times, those guys, those corners are in the fit. We're using them, right? We're spilling the ball out to them, or we're going to blitz them. So I thought in the spring, yeah, he's athletic enough. We knew that, right? He is who we thought he was, right? But I thought he was more physical. I think with any freshman, right, that's very talented, and Kool-Aid's no exception, it's still the same thing of the consistency, right, of being able to do my job. Right. And then now, hey, they're on scholarship too. And we go against some good receivers every day. And I do get beat. How am I going to respond? Right. And be able to play that next play. So I think that maturing process, which obviously Coach Saban does an unbelievable job coaching those guys, and Coach Fly as well with them. I think that's a growing process. But he does process very well. He understands the game. Right. So again, that's a big piece. So he's got the ability. He has the ability to process, right, and he'll put his face on you. So if we can get that consistent, right, he's going to be a really good player.
Go to Mike Rodak.
Yeah, Pete, Nick Saban's talked a little bit about how the standards really on defense have changed statistically, where maybe 10, 15 years ago, it would have been one number that's considered good defense. Now it's a different set of numbers that are considered good defense. Just what does it mean to you when he backs up the performance of the defense like that? And how fair is it to judge today's defenses based on the standards of a decade ago?
Well, I think to me, you got into coaching, or I got into coaching. Like our first goal on a defensive goal sheet is still a defensive goal sheet. The number one thing is to win the game, right? So depending upon who you're playing and what style of offense they have, based on what style of offense you have, sometimes you got to do different things in order just to win the game. That's the number one thing, right? What do we have to do to win the game? All right, now, the next most important thing to me from a defensive standpoint is to not allow points, right? If we score more points than them, right, we're going to win the what? Game. That goes back to the number one piece. So the point piece of this, right, hasn't changed to me, right? If you go back and look over the last 5 years, in order to be number one in the country, right, which is the standard here at Alabama, and this is why I took the job, right, it's going to be holding people to 13 points or less. And that's still our goal. I don't care if they're throwing it 70 times or they're running it 70 times. It doesn't matter. We got to find a way, right, to keep them out of the end zone, right? And there's multiple different ways to do that, right, based on tempo offenses throwing the ball. All right, a lot of times make them drive the field. And then now once they get low red, let's tighten this thing up, right? They don't have much space and play well in the red zone, right? Playing well on third down. But that's not going to change. From a point aspect on that, that's not going to change. To me, we've got to do a better job of, right? And the easiest way to do that is to take the football what? Away, right? So again, we only created 22 turnovers last year. When we got the ball back to our offense, every time we got a turnover, it was 4.7 points. Meaning every time we picked the ball, every time we scooped up a fumble, right, it averaged out to our offense scoring at least 4.7 points. So for us, every turnover is 5 points, right? So when they're down there in that red area or that plus alum, we've kept them from scoring. That's 7, and we're going to score 5. It's a 12-point difference in the game, right? So that emphasis, and this is something Coach puts an emphasis on every day. This is how we start practice, right, from a turnover taker standpoint. But in today's game, you got to be able to create turnovers, and you got to take them away. They're not going to give them to you, right? So I think that's one thing that we've got to do a better job of that's going to help all the categories from a defensive standpoint. But the game's the same, right? They're going to have to find a way to run the football. We got to stop the run, right? We got to be on the same page, right? Our goal hasn't changed, right? From a pass attempt standpoint, it's same as. So, yeah, offensive changed a little bit, right? But defensively, our goals and our philosophy haven't, right? So, again, that's not going to change. That's who we are. That's this place. That's how they've been. That's the expectation. That's how it should be.
Okay, we got time for one, maybe two. We'll start with Dennis Dodd. Dennis, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Hey, Pete. I know this isn't your base defense, but it's kind of dovetailing off Mike's question. What are the advantages of the 4-2-5 when you can put 7 or 8 guys back there and defend the pass against the spread?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, nickel defense, which, if you look at us from a base down structure, the people that we play, we're in that 90% of the time on a base down. So, outside looking in, you're going to break us down as a 4-2-5, right? And if they put big people in the game, then we're going to put big people in the game. And that's when we'll go 3-4, right? So about 80% of base downs, we're in a 4-2-5 structure. The difference for us is, that fourth D lineman is an outside backer. So it gives you the flexibility to drop him in coverage or bring him, right? So again, that's a 3-3 mindset, right? But that outside backer for us is used to being at the end of the line. So obviously it's the coverage concepts. 2x2 principles are pretty easy, but when they get to 3x1, right, where they're putting guys, right, used to be, hey, the Y is going to be at 3, right? So now you can play your games on 1 and 2. You can still double the backside X because that's going to be the isolation. That's their guy. Well, now they're putting speed at 3, their fastest guy to the trip side, and they're putting their best guy at X. Right. So then now it's that dilemma for the backside safety. Hey, do I want to take it to 3? Right. Because we got a backer on him when you're a nickel. Right. That's the money backer. And now I'm going to leave the backside X isolated. Or now, hey, I'm going to double the backside X and have speed there. So, we run multiple different personnel groupings, whether it's 3-4, right, from a 4-2 structure, right, or a dime structure where we got 6 DBs in. But the biggest thing on that is the coverage change ups, right, based on what they do.
All right, guys, that's all the time we got for
Thank you.